this spring, if you saw the record snowpack on Mammoth Mountain, record snowpack, Mammoth Mountain, most snow ever, and then you saw this forecast last fall, basically what it's telling you is that you have a 30% chance of an average year, a normal year. You have a 20 to 30% chance of above average. You have a 10 to 20% chance of 150%, or 1.5 times. Would that have been usable? Well, I can tell you this, no one was planning for that. They were planning more for this, that we would have another dry year and the drought would worsen. Now, a big part to figuring out why some winters are really productive, why some winters are not, is the work being done with atmospheric rivers. During our recent drought, most of the atmospheric rivers, as you would expect, were all focused up in northern states, Oregon, Washington, missing most of California, 21 and 22. And that was really the heart or the peak of our drought this time last year, when our reservoirs were at record low levels. Now, if you look before that, when the drought first developed, the same thing was happening. Most of the atmospheric rivers were just concentrated to the north, So there's a big effort to understand and predict the atmospheric rivers better, but there's still very little success with predicting frequency or landfall of atmospheric rivers beyond 2 weeks, And for drought, and for climate, and drought assessment, and water supply, and water management, we need this prediction beyond 2 weeks, and we're just not there yet. So why are we having so much challenges, besides the fact that it's, you're predicting a weather event that doesn't even exist on the globe after 2 weeks. The weather event's not even on the globe, and you're predicting it, trying to predict it after 2 weeks. Part of the reason, though, is the extreme weather. I'll give you one example. In December 2021, the weather patterns set up in California in the West where we were just inundated. Literally everyone was saying the drought is over. It's done. Stick a fork in it. That same year, January through March, ended up being the least amount of rain or snow that California has recorded. Here's what happened in December. We basically had almost a season of rainfall in 1 month, and snowfall. After that, it got to the point where we could not make this up. All these red areas between January and March basically didn't rain. Sacramento, Tahoe. 2 inches of rain, 2 inches of snow, fell in Mammoth after they received 170 the month before. But as we all know, 1 month doesn't do it. 2 months doesn't do it. We need a season. And being able to predict something like this is really one of our biggest challenges now. The extremes within the year, let alone, we always talk about the extremes year to year, right? Year to year. The 70s were dry, year to year. But the extremes within the year are becoming increasingly difficult to predict beyond 2 weeks. If you look at the weather patterns that began the most recent drought, it was the same thing. And I want your eyes to be drawn, unless they don't need to be, to the red. And what's the red? The red is an anomaly. The red is a roadblock. The red is a car wreck on the 405. The red is a block in the atmosphere that we don't know why it's there, but it has contributed to 2 things. Massive drought in California, record-breaking drought, lowest reservoirs in the Colorado system this past year, but it's also contributed to very wet weather patterns. So it's done both. What do I mean, very wet weather patterns? What's he talking about? These crazy meteorologists. That same block was around all last winter, when I'm sure you saw on the news, or you followed it, or you now see the reservoirs were full and the drought's over. It shifted, the traffic jam shifted just a few hundred miles, and we had one of our wettest years on record in California, snowiest year on record in California history just last year. But this roadblock, or this anomaly is what we call it, it's not supposed to be there. The red means it's departing from a 30-year average extremely. Just like the blue, purple means it's departing from a 30-year average extremely. Record rainfall, record snow. We don't know why it's there. We don't know why it's there, and it's making forecasting even different. The good news